Dokkan, please don't fumble this EZA. How's it, everybody? Celtic Link here. We got another Dokkan Battle video for you here today, and we are talking about probably our favorite character in Dokkan Battle. That is the AGL Trunks, the unit that started it all. I know most of you guys probably associate us with Tech Super Trunks by now, but this is the unit that started the channel, and today we have some concerns, right? As many of you guys know, you've probably seen the hint for the upcoming DFE TUR, and I expect within 24 hours of this video, we will probably get the official reveal, but it does seem like the hint here is hinting towards Android Cell Saga Piccolo's Hellzone Grenade. So, with that in mind, that got me thinking about potential EZAs, and even more so, it got me thinking about our boy AGL Trunks here and how much I'm expecting for him, right? After all, if this is a Android Cell Saga celebration, we're very likely to see either the Androids EZAs, the LR Gohan and Trunks EZA, the Gohan and Goku EZA, or more likely, most likely, the oldest one here, the AGL Trunks' EZA. So in this video, I kind of want to talk about what I want to see from him, because, man, there's a lot of potential here, and I just hope they don't fumble him. So let's go ahead and let's actually jump on over here. I have a little EZA I designed here for our boy Trunks. Basically, right, I took the theory that Dokkan runs with when it comes to designing EZAs. You basically take what they did before and dial it up to 11. But I also took careful here to design him to work both in short and long content, similar in the way they structured AGL Gohan. The youth Gohan from the Garlic Jr. saga who just EZA'd. So let's start with the Trunks here, right? So this is his base form, right? Obviously his leader skill and all that's going to stay the same. We're not worried about his leader skill, but we're going to talk about the change to his super attack effect first, right? So previously he simply raised defense for one turn and caused immense damage. So what I wanted to do is make him both offensive and defensive, depending on the setting. So basically, when in base form, he's going to be more defensive. He's going to greatly raise attack and defense infinitely, cause immense damage to the enemy, and lower enemy's attack and defense, and stuns the attacked enemy. I mean, it could be a medium or a high chance, right? Whatever they decide to give him, or a great chance, right? He didn't have this before. This is just something to add on, and you'll understand why we're adding on the stun to that before. But obviously the greatly raising attack and defense is to build him for both the longer content, but also allow him to build up within the short content that he has, given his passive here. So his passive previously was designed around him launching additional attacks. And building based on that into his transformation turn, which required 6 or more attacks. So I took that idea, I dialed it up a notch to ensure that he will always, most of the time, transform on turn on his second appearance, because you want, not that you need it to happen, but if you want him to be viable for both types of content, you want to be able to have that access to that immediately. Right? And so I designed him for that. Now, I'm not the best at designing units. Let me go ahead and say that right now. So I did the best I could, knowing how they typically treat these. So I could be wrong. I may have overdid it a little. I may have underdid it a little, right? If you're someone who knows a little better on this, hey, shoot me some ideas for improving this in the comments. But let's go ahead and start. So attack defense 200% at the start of turn. Like that's, you know, the flat start of turn buffs, right? And then he gets an additional attack defense 40% and guards all attacks for 4 turns and launches an additional super attack. So that's just kind of like, that's that extra little oomph that he's going to have for those short events. So while he's building up that attack and defense, he's going to have his guard, right, for 4 turns, which most short events are going to have that, right? Now, he also reduces damage received by 20% and launches 3 additional attacks that have a high chance. That's actually supposed to be a medium. I realize giving 3 additional attacks, it's a little much. That should be a medium chance. but reduces damage received by 20% and launches 3 additional attacks that have a medium chance of becoming a super attack when there's another Android Cell Saga, Bond of Master and Disciple, or Entrusted Will category ally on the team. Now, I figured since, right, his passive previously just had him doing an additional attack with no conditions, right? I decided to play up that portion, right? So I gave him a guaranteed additional super attack for 4 turns, right? As part of that initial buff. Then I gave him, instead of, right, 3 crazy chances, right? So I upped the great chance to just a guaranteed chance. And then I upped the chance of an attack to just 3 attacks that can also become a super attack, right? Because the way it was worded previously is these would never be super attacks, but given the meta that we're in, you kind of need that extra defense raise. So I decided to make them a medium chance. But, you know, to make it fair, right, we'll add a category restriction: Android Cell Saga or Bottom Master and Disciple and Entrusted Will, right? Android Cell Saga or Bottom Master and Disciple would cover the new DFE who would come out, plus any other hybrid Saiyans as of late that we've gotten. And then Entrusted Will, just because that's his leader's skill. Not that you'd be running him on a leader skill, but it, you know, given that it is his leader skill, it makes sense to put it on there. Unless, of course, Piccolo somehow has a new lead, right? Then you would just swap that in for one of those. Now, I also gave him crits when performing a super attack, right? Which he didn't have before, right? He had no built-in crits, so I went ahead and give him that, give him crit. So he's got a little something, right? And then for every 3 attacks performed, right? So this was the previous form of his passive, right? He's going to get a additional 50% damage reduction once you hit the 3 attacks, with an additional attack and defense 70%, and it launches 1 additional super attack, right? So once you hit the 3, you've got a 4th one guaranteed coming in, but you don't get the additional stats till the end of that 3rd one, or the damage reduction, right? So I kind of wanted to play around this. Now, if he procs, right, with the setup here, if you proc the additional super attack through the hidden potential, he will launch 6 supers, and that will allow him to do that will allow him to activate his transformation. So that's why I designed him this way, to guarantee that you will always be able, well, not always, right, for the most part, be able to transform on his second appearance, right? Because that's what you want with you know, with the current meta, or even moving into the next meta. This would also sort of, to a degree, future-proof him a bit as well, allowing him to always get to that transformation condition. Because, right, they can't change active skill, and it is an active skill transformation. So once he transforms into Super Saiyan, we've added a little more too, right? So building off how they designed a previous stacking unit, similar to Kale and Caulifla, right? In base, they stacked both attack and defense, which is what I allowed him to do here. But once you transform him, he loses the defense permanent stack, but rather continues to greatly stack attack permanently, but now only greatly raises defense for the turn. And then I added to his ability, which he didn't have before, I added to his ability the ability to lower enemies' attack and defense. Now, because and this is only because the design is to transform him on the second turn, if possible, right? And you're going to see, once again, with that stun added to his original passive, and that or that his super attack effect, and this added to his super attack, you're going to see why we wanted this here in a second. So we'll give him a base 250% at the start of turn when transforming. Honestly, that to me, that feels kind of low, but I also felt it could be too high, right? But because I've seen others have like 300% transform, so could easily bump that up, right? Give him guard guaranteed once transform, right? Like it's a little tricky, right? And that's why, so like his base only has it for 4 turns to last for that, but you know, beyond the 4 turns, right, if you're in longer fights, he's not going to need the guard beyond that point, because he's just going to keep stacking, right? So you don't need the guard after that point. But once you transform, right, in those bigger fights like festival battles, right, where you're gonna want the guard, even with the stacking. So guard all attacks plus an additional 50% and reduces damage received by 50% when performing a super attack. And so I know that seems like a lot, especially on a stacking unit, but again, the design was to make him good for both short and long fights. Like, in theory, right, the guard and all that stuff, this is still necessary for tanking Vegito. Without the guard, he's going to have a tough time tanking Vegito. Um, because he's type disadvantage, right? So that's why I gave him guard. Now, when attacking with 12 or more ki, he gets an additional 50% and performs a critical hit. This way, he still has his chance to crit and gets an additional defense 200%. When performing an addition, he performs one additional super attack, and then right, so he stops doing all those crazy additionals once he transforms. Right, he's only getting 2. Right, maybe 3 if you proc the hidden potential. Now, he can have a 4th if the enemy is an attack down, defense down, sealed, or stunned. This portion of the passive here. And so that's why, right, we gave him the stun in the initial passive or the attack and defense in this passive, right? So, or not passive, but super attack, right? So he can have a chance to activate this because, all right, this is only going to be activated in shorter fights where this is possible, like Rose and Zama's, right, where you can lower attack and defense, right? Most fights don't allow you to stun or seal, right, even by turn 2. So that's kind of why I added this to him. And then finally, right, I kept the portion of his passive, right? He has a great chance to stun all enemies, right? This is sort of like the hit effect, right? A great chance to stun all enemies, or stunning the attacked enemies, as long as you have all allies and or Cell Saga. So you have this extra chance to stun. That's not within his super attack effect, but on the passive, as long as you have all allies and or Cell Saga. You're probably never going to get to activate this, but it's pretty much the same condition he had before. It was a high chance. And I actually mistyped here. That shouldn't be 1 turn. It should be 2 turns here, right? When all allies are Android Cell Saga. I don't imagine they're going to change that. Maybe add a category, right? But otherwise, I assume it'll probably be pretty similar. So this is my design here. And the reason I did this design is he is very likely coming up on an EZA soon, which means we're going to have to contend with him needing to be relevant in either short or long content, and I decided to play the Kalen Caulifla game, where designing him for long content, but also the AGL Gohan game, designing him also for short content. Right, we have plenty of characters who can do both, and not to say that I have a problem with a character that can't do both, right? If he's only good in one, then he's only good in one. But his design kind of already leads itself to be able to be good in both if they play it right. So, yeah, I really hope Dokkan does not fumble this guy. This is probably my most anticipated EZA, and I don't usually say, you know, put your hopes high or anything like that when it comes to EZAs. Expect the unexpected, but this guy, like, he means a lot, and I hope they don't fumble him. So, guys, that is it for the video. If you like the video, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and in the comments down below let us know what EZAs would you like to see in the future that you hope Dokkan doesn't fumble. What's an EZA that really stands out to you as this is the one that I hope Dokkan doesn't screw up? Let us know in the comments down below. And again, if you're someone who's good at designing passives, let me know what I need to fix here. I don't really do this very often, so if there's anything that's off, let us know in the comments down below. And if anybody can calc out, I'm not too good at the attack calculation. If anybody knows how to calculate that out, let us know if we did a good job there. Otherwise, guys, as always, thanks for watching, and aloha.